us and how we are and what we are, and you love us, and we thank you for that. Forgive us of those things that would hinder us and distract us. Help us to be obedient to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Join with us in worship this morning. I know.
Who shakes the whole earth.
brightest, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. Sing it out, voice. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. That you would bear my cross. You would lay down your life. That I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. That you would bear my cross. You would lay down your life. That I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Sing worthy one more time. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave.
Very good. If you need prayer today, I want to invite you to come up here. Need to remember Kojak today. He had surgery on Thursday and he had another surgery this morning. It's not a good thing. He has an infection in his foot and it's going to be pretty traumatic for him. And pray for Allison also. We'll have to take care of him and this deal. So pray for him today. Pray. They just finished the surgery. She texted me just before I started. I was kind of stalling late, and I knew that was probably about the end. And she texted me, everything went well, but it's a big deal. So pray about that. If you need prayer today, come up here and we'll pray with you. Hermana, venga para acá, por favor. Vamos a orar. Pásale. ¿Alguien más? Anybody else? Y'all know what I said, right? Come join us for prayer. Help us pray with her. Some of you. If you want to stand in for someone else, feel free to come and do that also. Okay? Curtis is going to stand in for Kojak. Everybody pray with us. You stood before creation.
eternity in your hand. You spoke the earth into motion, my soul now to stand. You stood before my failures. You carried the cross for my shame. My sin weighed upon your shoulders, my soul now to stand. So what could I say? What could I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? So I walk upon salvation, your spirit alive in me, my life to declare your promise, my soul now to stand. So what can I say? What could I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? Sing that again. So what can I say? So what can I say? What can I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? Sing so I'll stand. So I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned in all of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrender all. I am is yours. So I'll stand with arms wide and heart abandoned in all of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrender all. I am is yours. Sing all I am. 'Cause all I am is yours. So what could I say? What could I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? One more time, sing, I'll stand. So I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned in all of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrender all. I am is yours, and all I am is yours. So this is a new song that we've never done in here before. But it really just talks about the love of God and how great it is. It's such a privilege to be loved by God because we don't deserve His love, and still He gives it to us every day. No matter what we do, no matter how we live our lives, He still loves us. So let's sing about His love. From the darkness, I called your name. Into darkness, your mercy came. You called me out, lifted me up. How great is your love? You bore my weakness, you took my shame, you buried my burdens in fields of so true.
Good song. Good song. Man. You be seated if you'd like to. Ushers come and receive the offering today. Appreciate your support and giving for all we do around here. Make a few announcements. One is today at 5 o'clock, we're going to have dinner and a movie. If you haven't seen, I can only imagine. I can't imagine why you haven't yet, but if you haven't seen that movie yet, we're going to show it this afternoon, and right here on the big screen. So if you would like to come and be a part of that, we're also going to have potluck. So if you want to make something and bring it, you're welcome to. If you can't bring anything, that's fine too. Just come on. I'm sure we'll share what we bring, and you will have plenty. But come, and we're going to eat and watch a movie right here in this room. Everything will be right here. So come, and if you want to invite somebody to come with you, that's great too. We plan to start at 5. We probably will start the movie at 5, but we'll start eating and do whatever. And by here after a little while, we'll start the movie. So come and be a part of that. Enjoy it with us. This week, Wednesday night, youth, kids, and just look down, it's all ladies retreat. Youth and kids this Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. We have a lot of youth and kids here today. In fact, we have the volleyball team here today. Man, this is great to have them here today. They fill that seat up, that row up every week. But we have youth and kids on Wednesday night at 7. Of course, adults meet down at Old Dock Soda Shop for Bible study. And glad for you to come and be a part of that with us down there also. It's only 121 more days till Christmas. I knew y'all wanted to know that since it's still August. We help a family at Christmas. Some years it's a missionary family, some years it's a family right here in our community. But we give them a good Christmas, not just a token gift. We help them in a good way where the family is truly blessed with that gift. So we start early to make sure that we get that together. So in your giving, mark a gift or a special gift for them, and we'll make sure that gets to the right place. If you want to go on the ladies' retreat in October, you need to talk to that woman right there. Judy. Miss Gordon, whatever. Granny, that's a cute. Mas que todo is Granny, yeah. Okay, guys, come on. Give as you give today. Worship God with your giving. Be blessed. Keith, would you have a blessing on the offering, please?
Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for this church. Lord, thank you for the ministry of this church as in this community. I pray that you just open the hearts and minds of the folks here in this building today to receive your word. In your name I pray.
Love so ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roll, let fire fall, and shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roll, let fire fall, and shake the ground with the sound of revival. One last time. My God's not dead, He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. My God's not dead, He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. My God's not dead, He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. My God's not dead, He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. Man, do you believe it?
Now you can be seated for a minute. Cliff's going to come up. Cliff Sims, most of y'all know him. He works now with Christian Women's Job Corps, and they changed the name and all what they do and added a men's deal. I'm going to give him about 2 minutes to come up and talk to you.
He's
I
at
have to
10,
be
10,
specific. No, not 10, 2. We don't have an alarm, we have a sniper.
Man, you guys are awful. JV basketball, that's what I coached. JV volleyball, that's what I coached over at Dublin High
Yeah,
School.
man.
Several years ago. Yeah, there they are. Good girls. How many of you are from Dublin or from the area? We got most everybody here from Dublin. If you've gone down Patrick Street, surely you've seen the Christian Women's Job Corps thrift store that we have. The thrift store funds about half of what we do at the Transformation Pathway. Before I forget it, there are some Change for Change bottles out there on that table and a brochure if you want to know more about the ministry, but let me just kind of hit the highlights. You know the old cliche, give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man a fish, he what? Eats for a lifetime. Our purpose is to get women and men who, by whatever circumstances, are in a situation in life where they need help. They need help, and we know that God's Word is the foundation behind all things. But what we do is through volunteers we provide life skills, job skills, computer skills, Bible study, boundaries, relationship issues, parenting classes. These all are provided at no cost by volunteers who come in who are highly skilled in these areas to teach these women. Last year, this facility, the church, hosted our graduation. I don't know if any of you had a chance to come to that, but we had 3 women graduates last year. Their lives totally transformed. I go on Sundays and speak to churches about this ministry. I usually bring one of my graduates or participant in the program with me, and they share their testimony, and it's incredible to see what God has done in their lives over 9 months. So we appreciate your participation. How you can do that? First of all, you can pray for our ministry. Please put it on your prayer list. Pray. We take people that have come from some horrific circumstances. You name it, we have seen it. A lot of times society writes these people off. But I can remember Jesus, that he saw the woman that had the issue of blood for 12 years. She was written off. I mean, she was no good to society whatsoever. But she tugged at Jesus, the hem of his garment, turned around, and she was healed because of her faith. And that's what people are doing. They're tugging at the hem of the garment. They're trying to find the answers. We not only serve women now, we serve men. We're starting a Christian Men's Job Corps this fall. We already have about 5 or 6 men. Coach Jack has been involved in that as much as he can. Obviously, he can't do it right now until he heals. But we have some men that come in and are mentoring other men. And we need women mentors as well. So if you feel called to help volunteer to stand alongside a woman who's struggling in life, trying to figure out how to get through life, we will help you. We'll train you. We train our mentors and our teachers. So my 2 minutes is up. Please get a bottle if you would. There's a brochure out there. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I have a business card back there. It's got my personal phone number on it. Thank you, Ronnie.
Yeah. And somebody already came back today. I put those jars out last week, and TJ already brought his back full this week. So if you want to do that, that's great. And we, big believer in missions, and we invest in missions around the world, and I have some very dear investment in missions myself personally, but I believe that missions starts at home, and part of what we do here, you see, we reach out to the community, whether it's kids and youth or people who need help like this. I believe in ministering to your local community. It doesn't make much sense to send money halfway around the world and forget about home. So we start right there. Let's sing another song. If y'all need donuts or coffee, it's back there. Please get it.
Give you can't get enough. All this is for you. Keep singing that. 'Cause we love you and we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. 'Cause we love you and we can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus.
Let our kids go to children's church. While they do, you can get more coffee or be friendly to somebody. You see somebody you don't know, ask them what their name is. I bet they know it. And don't leave. This is just a break. This is not, don't leave. We're not done.
It's my turn. They tried a couple videos.
Okay, break it up. I like doing that down there. Makes me feel like I'm in school. Thank you. Let's give our band a hand. Read from 2 Corinthians chapter 4. It's in your bulletin if you got one. If you didn't get one and you want one, raise your hand and Keith will get you one. Okay. I was going to make Keith work, but y'all don't be. All right. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, if you're looking in a Bible, if you want to look at this, I think I copied it accurately. I have a problem. You know how bad life is? You don't have any idea. You don't know what I go through in my life. You have no idea how bad it is. You think you... You think you have trouble. It's nothing because you don't know what I'm doing. You have it easy compared to what I go through. And if you were married to her, I mean, you know what it's like. I walked through the valley of the shadow of death with them. It's just terrible. And besides that, nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat a worm. Life's just too tough. I know you've got problems, but they're not like mine. But I'm worse than yours. You don't know what it's like. Now Janice reminded me of being frugal and not wasting stuff she just bought. No, that's what she just said. I just bought those, she said. So now not only have my other stuff trouble, and my wife's nagging at me. You just don't know what it's like. Life is so tough. People are so mean and goofy. I just need to go off somewhere and hide. I just need to get away. I need to run from people because people are the problem. My in-laws. Oh my Lord. My outlaws, I mean the others. It's a terrible way. And my kids, they act just like I did when I was a kid. They won't behave or mind because I didn't teach them to. And at my job, they want me to work. I get there every morning and they won't let me play on my phone or nothing. They want me to work. It's terrible. stage of life has its own. There are kids who think their trouble's bad, and a lot of kids have bad trouble. For teenagers, who think their trouble's bad, and some of them are dealing with some pretty rough stuff. And there's some 20-somethings who think they got troubles, and their troubles are pretty rough for them. And if it's your trouble, it's bad, right? I hear people all the time, because I spend a lot of time around hospitals with people having surgeries, and I'll hear somebody say, oh, it's just a little surgery. Yeah, it's all little if it's not yours. But if it's you, man, it's big. If it's me and they're doing something, if they're sticking a needle in me and cutting on me, it's big. I can deal with somebody else. Oh, you'll be all right? This is great. You can handle this. But if it's me, I'm like, oh, Jesus. We now have this light shining in our hearts. I'm reading now, in case you didn't notice that. But we ourselves are like fragile clay jars. So we are, aren't we? And I didn't do what I wanted to do because I didn't want to have to clean it up. Fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. This makes it clear that our great power is from God and not ourselves. Do you realize how weak we really are? And some of us are weaker because we think weak. We think weak. We don't think strong. We think weak. And we let things get us, push us down every time. This makes it clear that our great power is from God and not from ourselves. We are pressed on every side by troubles. But we are not crushed. We are perplexed but not driven to despair. We are hunted down but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down but we are not destroyed. Through suffering, our bodies continue to share in the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies. Yes, we live under constant danger of death because we serve Jesus, so that the life of Jesus will be evident in our dying bodies. So we live in the face of death, but this has resulted in eternal life for you. Now, not like our troubles. Paul was being persecuted because he preached about Jesus, and this was real. He was under the threat of death because of preaching Jesus. Now, I've had some pretty mean, tough people threaten me during the course of my life, some of them overseas and working there, and some of them right here in the good old United States of America, and some of them right here in this town. But I remind them that if they whoop me today, they got to come back and whoop me tomorrow, and the next day and the day after that. So they get tired of that and they give up pretty quick. Paul said, I'm really being threatened. Not just because he was annoying somebody, which is usually my deal, I just annoy people. But Paul was preaching the truth. And because of that, he's being persecuted. Now, I don't see any boo-hooing going on here. And he spent a lot of time locked up. I don't see any boo-hooing going on here, and he spent a lot of time being persecuted in serious ways, like run out of town. You know, as a preacher, I've preached in a lot of towns, and some of them longer than others. And but my record's a lot better than Paul's. He got run out of pretty much every place he went to. I've only been run out of one or two. And, you know, but every place he went to, he was run off from. So he don't have a really good record. He persecuted by all kinds of people. He was stoned, not high, you know, stoned. He was rocked. They rocked him. He will. Oh. They stoned him and left him for dead. They thought he was dead. In fact, his own followers, the people that sat around and listened to him teach, thought he was dead. They were standing there talking about, oh, poor Paul, he's dead now. Well, and he gets up and walks off. He got up and walked off from them hitting him with rocks, which was a common way of execution in that day. They got done, piled the rocks up, walked off. We got that sucker. And while they're standing around talking about how they're going to do his funeral, he stands up and walks off. Man, I like that, don't you? Now, the bruises didn't go away, and the hurt didn't immediately leave, and all the damage that was done, he was probably wiping blood, and he was probably... We got him walked off. But we continue to preach, even though there's a threat. Verse 13. Because we have the same kind of faith the psalmist had when he said, I believed in God, so I spoke. Sometimes I just wanted to mouth off, so I spoke. Sometimes I just had something I thought was important, so I spoke. Sometimes I was just being a smart aleck, and I spoke. But Paul said, I spoke because I believed God. No matter what he had to face, no matter what he had to be up against. And we know that God, who raised the Lord Jesus, will also raise us with Jesus and present us to himself together with you. All of this is for your benefit because he was preaching to reach out and help people. And as God's grace reaches more and more people, there will be great thanksgiving and God will receive more and more glory. That is why we never give up. Never give up. That's why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, and we all are, it's just a matter of time for all of us. I hate to break it to you, none of us are going to live forever. For our present troubles are small and won't last very long. We'll get through this. I don't care what you're going through today and how big it seems, this too shall pass. Sometimes the darkness can be real dark. If you've ever gone through an episode of your life, discouragement, despair, depression, any of that stuff where the night seemed like it was never going to get over with, where you couldn't sleep, and you'd wake up and think, man, when is it going to be morning? All of that will pass. The struggle, well, you'll get through it. I know long days at work, or long days at school, or long days going through a battle, or long days doing without something that you really want or need. You're counting the time. Some of you guys are in the military counted the time till you got out, got back, got home. My dad went to war, got married, left, and went to, well, didn't go to war. Well, him and my mom had always been to war, but that's a different deal. For 57 years, pretty much every day. But they loved each other. That's just their way of dealing with it. But they got married, and he left and went to war. And he didn't come back until his little girl was 22 months old. Didn't see her until she was 22 months old. There was no Snapchat or Facebook or WhatsApp that we use now. With Kenny and Lady, we use WhatsApp. I had to figure out how to download that deal to make that work, but I made it work. No pictures to show, and the letters, you know, they were kind of sparse, and sometimes they made it, and sometimes they didn't. And my sister was 22 months old when my dad came home from war and saw her for the first time. Counting the time. And you've probably been through some episodes, and some of you today may be going through some episodes in your life where you think, when is this going to be done? When am I going to get through this? Just like Paul said, don't give up, because you are going to get through it. It's temporary. It's temporary. Everything is temporary. But the trouble will pass. The things will go by the wayside. And you will come out on the other side, and you know what it will leave you with? Faith and a good story. I like good stories. I tell a bunch of them. I don't even have to make them up. They're true. When you live long enough, you have a lot of stories. But the greatest ones are the stories of faith. How God kept us, how God brought us through, how God gave us hope. How God did something for us that no one else could do. I was coming back from a village up in the mountains, Central America, one night, got lost. I know y'all heard this story, you've heard all my stories, but I got lost because it fogged in, the mountain fogged in, and I accidentally turned a road too soon. It looked just like the other road. In fact, the sign, there was an advertisement right there. And the sign looked the same. And here I'm coming back, and I see it. I went, oh, I remember that sign. So I turned right there, and I got way off in the mountains, in the fog, and finally just stopped and turned the lights off on my vehicle and got out because I couldn't see where I was going. And I was about from here to the street out there, from the end of that road, which wound up just side of the mountain right there. I wasn't about to run off, but I mean, that was the end of the road. And just on a high mountain, and that was it. And I was in guerrilla country. The country was in Civil War back then. And it wasn't smart for me to even be driving out there, but I thought I had to get back to the capital that night, so I was trying to. Didn't think it would take me long, but here I am lost. Oh, dear Lord. So I was real close to the edge of the mountain on that little narrow road. I inched around, got turned around in my vehicle, started back the other way toward town. On the way back to town, I passed an army tank that was headed out the way I had just come from, which was never a good sign when you saw the military moving, because it usually meant they were moving to where they thought the guerrillas were. And I passed them, and I got to town, and when I got to town again, that little town that I just came from, the fog had lifted, and I went, oh man, now I gotta get wrong. And so I went to the other road, and I came home. About a week later, my mom called. We called like once a week back then, Denise, once a week on a handheld phone with no view of them, yeah, for about 5 minutes because it cost too much. And I said, I'm just talking about stuff. She said, where were you last Thursday, Ronnie? And I said, I don't know, I was traveling. No, where were you last Thursday night? And I said, well, I don't know, Mama, I just stopped thinking. Let me think, where was I? I mean, went to so many different places. And I said, well, I was at a village called Poltoon. And I said, I was at, and she said, well, I got to know where you were. Because about 10 o'clock at night, God woke me up. That's the way she put it. And she said, I had to get down and kneel by the bed and pray for you. And she said, finally, after about 45 minutes of praying for you, the Lord let me know it was okay. And I got back up and went to bed and went back to sleep. Where were you? And I went, well, and I'm thinking, and I went, oh, that's the night I got lost in the mountains out in that rough area of the country. My mama prayed me back before the guerrillas found me. Wasn't good to come up on a camp of them in a place like that, and I had no idea. See, God is with you, even if you don't know He is. And that night, I was stomping and snorting because I got lost. I wasn't scared. I was aggravated. Because I needed to do what I needed to do. Now, when I passed that army tank, I went, oh, sweet Lord. And I tell you, when I figured out where I was, I hit the right road and I was headed home. But because my mama was kneeling by her bed praying for me for 45 minutes until I got unlost. Let me tell you, there are people praying for you that you may not even realize they're praying for you. And the prayers that my mama prayed, although she's been gone a while now, they're still there. I believe those prayers are still there that she prayed. The prayers my grandma prayed, they're still there. They're still being counted. They still value. Just because the person died don't mean those prayers died. That's a spiritual thing, and God keeps track of that. So whatever you're going through, hang on. You're going to make it. You're going to come through the other side. Now, you may need a tissue or two, and that's okay. If you need to whine and cry a little bit, go ahead and do it, just not on Facebook. I mean, whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good, go ahead and do it. But realize that through the tears, I like the way Paul says it, we are pressed on every side, but we are not crushed. Be okay. This ain't going to kill you. It may make you feel like it. You ever mashed your finger? I know you guys do mechanic work, carpenter work, and things like that. You mash your finger. And it's hurt. I mean, how can that little deal hurt your whole body? I put decking on a house one time, one of those memories that just won't go away. We were hurrying. I used to work for a company that did remodel, and we did fire damage stuff, so a house had burned, and they'd call us 2 o'clock in the morning to come out and close up what was left of the house sometimes. If like a kitchen fire only burned one room, and we were kind of closing the roof up in other parts, and out there throwing plywood on the roof and putting them nails down and hitting them, as a few licks as you had to make it work. And I didn't draw my hand back quick enough on one of them and busted my thumb, and it went, blood squirted up over that plywood. And I busted it good. It wasn't one of them little licks. It was a big lick with a big hammer. And it's like you hurt from here to here. And it's just that. But it's like, oh, you want to cry for mom and everything. It's that bad. And it's just one deal. It's not like you cut your leg or arm off. It's your, oh God. Give me a tissue. And then I had to wrap it up and keep working. I couldn't quit. We're not done yet. We're hurrying and we're trying to get I can't go sit in the truck. There's only like 3 of us and we're trying to get this big deal done. God wants you to know you're going to make it. It's going to be all right. I lived a long ways past that and busted that thumb a few more times. That's why we never give up. For the things we now see will soon be gone. But the things we can't see will last forever. Love, compassion, patience, faith, all there. I was 3 years old when my grandma died, the only grandma I ever knew. The other one, my mom's mom, died before I was born. Dad's mom died of cancer when I was 3. But I remember her love. I remember her being on her porch and that big pecan tree in the front yard and the cracked sidewalk. And I remember her catching a horned frog. Be politically correct. We don't call them horny toads anymore, do we? She caught a horny toad for me. A horned midnight is what they call it. And brought it up to the porch, and we were playing. You don't ever see them around anymore. That was Fort Worth, man. There was something there then. And I remember her sitting on the porch, on her leg, on cross leg, and talking to me and playing with me in that. Remember that. I remember what her room looked like with the cancer, the oxygen equipment and things set up in there. And of course, I didn't know what was about to happen to her, but I remember her love that has never gone away. That was sweet. That was over 20 years ago. That was a long time ago. I thought she was old. I was 3. Because, see, that thing is not temporary. That part, she was temporary. Her biological life in this world, in fact, not very long after that day of the horny toad running down the sidewalk and us sitting out there playing together, not many days after that, she was gone from this world. But a whole lot of years later, the thing that I couldn't see, the love, is still there. Remember how she looked and how she sounded. You think a 3-year-old kid doesn't remember that, but it's in my brain. It's there. It's always has been. God wants you to take hold of all that stuff that's real with both hands. And let some of this other stuff go. Because you will make it. He says, so we don't look at the troubles we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. Let God love you. Let God help you. Let God encourage you. The things you deal with, someday somebody's going to come along and you're going to be able to help them. You're going to be able to encourage somebody else because of what's happened in your life. Because of what you've gone through, you'll be able to help someone else. That's what faith in God is about. Bow your head, please. Thank you, Jesus, that you love us enough to care for everything that affects our life. I thank you for every person that's here today, young, old, in between. You know the problems that we face at different stages of our life and development. And I pray for those today who feel the pressure of that trouble. But Lord, just like Paul, help them to realize, though they may be pressed down, they are not crushed. While your head is bowed, just take hold of faith today. Of course, I'm here. I'll be glad to pray with you right here if you need prayer. But right there where you're sitting, just take hold of faith. And if you're one of those that you feel like this is about you, that God has spoken this to your heart, then I want you to just grab hold of that right now and tell God your own personal prayer right there where you are. Tell God, Lord, with your help, I'm going to make it. With your help, I will not give up. With your help, I will endure. Let's just take a moment of time here and pray. And if you want me to pray with you, I'll be glad to. But take time to pray and let God encourage your heart.
When you walk into the room, everything changes. Darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. So when you walk into the room, every heart starts burning. Nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. We worship you. 'Cause we love you, and we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you, and can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus.
God bless you. Have a great day. 5 o'clock. Come back. We'll